Hi, I just wanted to quickly touch base with you around this new job keepers allowance from the government. I think it's an excellent initiative, and really, in my view, is they should have come out with this before they came out with bumping up the job seeker allowance, because this is much more likely to do what they were trying to achieve with that, which is keep people employed. It's really a great initiative for businesses, but we don't know the detail yet, and the devil is always in the detail. There are some risks that come with taking this up. I think every business should think about taking this up because there's some real benefits, but there are some risks as well. So let's talk about the benefits. The benefits are that for each member of staff that you continue to employ, you will get $1,500 per fortnight to give to them. So, whatever the current hourly rate is, or whatever the situation is in your business, you can subsidize that wage by $1,500. Now, presumably, you could just give them the $1,500 if they've got nothing to do, but also presumably you could have them work for a certain number of hours in order to maintain up to that $1,500 as well. The government really wants you, if you've already laid staff off, they want you to take them back. Now, there are some challenges around that, of course, right? But another benefit is that on the job seeker, there is a limit to what you can get if your partner earns over $80,000, something like that. So that means that for any of your staff that you've laid off whose partner is still working and earning over $80,000, they will not get a job seeker. However, if you re-employ them, if they stay with you, you will get the job keeper subsidy. So you could pay them a minimum of $1,500 a fortnight, and they would get that benefit, which they won't be getting today. So the amount of $1,500 a fortnight is a bit more than the job seeker. Plus, it seems that these partner limits don't apply. Now, we don't know the legislation yet. We don't know how it's going to look in practice, but that's what it seems at the moment. So what are the risks? Well, if you've let someone go, or whether they're still with you, you typically have an employment contract. So you need to potentially, you may have to revisit that contract to understand what are the impacts and how can I initiate this job keeper piece and still stay within the law. So if they've got a contract for a salary right now, can you implement a job keeper and only pay them the $1,500 a fortnight? I'm not sure. So that's something that you'd need to investigate, understand. I'm not an expert in this area, but it is a risk to think about. Now, if you've already let them go, of course, you could rewrite a new contract that talks about that. Before you get into that, I think we need to also look at some of the other risks around this. Now, don't get me wrong, I think this is a really great initiative, and I think every business should be seriously considering getting on board with it. But another risk is lumpy revenue. So the information so far is that they're talking about a month to year comparison. So, March 2020 versus March 2019. Now, we're not sure exactly how the ATO is going to implement this, or the government's going to implement it, but if there's that type of scenario and it's not based on a quarter, or it's every month on month, then you may have a situation where if you have lumpy revenue, if you have a big month and a lower month, you may not get the allowance for every month. Not sure how that's going to work, but something to consider. So that will impact you by, obviously if you're offering the JobKeeper every month in your contract, but you don't get it some months, does that have an impact on your business? And if your bigger month is not 30% lower, but overall you are on other months, I'm not sure how that's all going to work. So there's just something to consider. I guess another piece is when and how will it end? It seems as though if they're doing a comparison like that, it seems like if you go above, if your income then comes above the 30% reduction, so it goes above 70% of what it was, then you may not get that at all. So, if your income goes up to 75% of what it was before, you may not get anything. So, you're now paying out of pocket. So again, is there something you can do in a contract to be able to mitigate that and say, well, we only pay you if we get it? I'm not sure. If people are doing hours in your business, presumably you'll still have to pay them regardless of any JobKeeper agreement. But if you were just giving people the JobKeeper amount for not doing any work, then maybe there's some flexibility available there. The other thing is that it may end at a certain point in time. They may say yes if you go above the 70% threshold, or by the end of September, for example. So then again, what happens? You probably need some flexibility. What if your business is not a business that's got back to a level of where you can afford these staff by then? What do? You may have further layoffs. I don't see that as a bad thing. I see that as, I think that there's a lot of people out there now who don't have a job who would still be quite accepting of that because they're getting more in their pocket than they would have otherwise. Now, the other thing is, should you register if you're not affected? And there's probably a few different arguments here. Do I want to register if my business is okay? Is that adding, issues, etc., etc.? One of the things I would say here politically is that it's very clear that the government wants businesses to step up and wants them to have the intention of keeping staff. So one thing I would say is that by registering, and if you're in the position that you need it, then go for it. And if you're not yet, but you might be, maybe it's worth registering, because it seems like if there's further packages available, the government's more likely to favour these businesses that are employing people rather than the businesses that are not employing people. So really something to consider. There's obviously risks here, and you'll need to sort of work out exactly what works for your business and your people. Maybe you can come to some sort of agreement with your people that is very flexible, that allows you to have them do some work up to the $1,500 mark and only pay them if that happens, and they only work if they're getting the job keeper. The challenge with that, of course, is that you won't know your revenue until the end of the month, and they may have already worked. But again, I'm sure you can come up with something with your staff to go through that. I think it's a great initiative, and I think every business should be considering it, because it's going to be super valuable. And at the end of the day, when this is over and you want to get your business back on track, having those staff that know your business, that you're really happy with, that to just sort of kickstart it again, is going to be so valuable. It's going to be worth so much more than anything that you might miss out on in the meantime around pay, because the recruitment process is expensive. You've got staff that know what they're doing. You've got staff that you like. These things are super important in any business, but particularly in those smaller businesses. So I would say definitely look into it, and if it's suitable, go for it with your business. What a great initiative.